We're
I
live.
am live. Hello, everyone. I am so happy that you're here. This is Rob of
Hi.
Commercian in Alaska. We are going to make his hat today. That's why I'm doing this live. Later on, once he gets done with his talking, I'll put the link in the chat for people to come up here. And I'm going to get started. Robert, why don't you tell us your journey of your channel?
I've got bleed on somewhere. There it is.
You got it?
Yep.
Hi, Good Times with Jen and Steve. Thank you, everyone, for coming in.
All right. Sorry about that. I had to shut down the YouTube side of it. It was bleeding over on the sound.
Okay.
So, well, about me, currently and permanently, we live about 13 miles north of Talkeetna, Alaska. We are remote. There is only one way in, one way out. Well, for us, we don't use a boat because we don't have a boat and they're expensive up here. We have to use the Alaska Railroad to get in and out of town. And that's including all supplies, or it comes in with a helicopter. And I lost sound.
I can still hear you.
Okay. I couldn't hear you, so I didn't know if you were.
Okay.
Ears can be weird sometimes. I actually damaged my ears years ago, and I lost a lot of my hearing. I've got some of it back, but not 100%. So if I seem like I'm talking loud sometimes, you know why. What are you doing, Zeus?
Hi, Kim. Thank you for coming in.
This is my sidekick.
That looks like a border collie.
Oh, no, he's an Aussie.
Oh.
And he's an Australian Shepherd. Ah, Zeus. All right. Pop. Good boy. But originally, I was born and raised in New Hampshire. And I was out there until I was about 18. And then I traveled the country for a number of years, landed in LA for about a year. Then I was in Colorado for about a decade. And I worked all over the place. I was a chef in the ski lodges for a little bit. And then my mom had a car accident and I wound up down in Florida. It's been almost 25 years. And it was nice down there. I have a lot of good memories, things like that. I lived off grid down there as well. I lived on my sailboats. I've owned 2 marine businesses and both of them did very, very well. And I just buy boats, rehab them, turn around, sell them aside from my business. And then it was about 2.5 years ago. No, it was about 5 years ago. I met Sarah, and her daughter and her boyfriend worked for me, and we all got to know each other really well. Sarah, her husband, and her daughter and the boyfriend, and we'd all talk every now and then. You know, I purchased a van from them. We got to know one another really good. And then, unfortunately, Bob had cancer and he passed. And we all kind of still hung around one another, talked to one another. And I would go over to see Sarah to check on her occasionally and make sure she's all right. And
I bent over acres.
She's like, sorry, I don't like cooking. So, you know, if you want to have a snack sometime, you cook it here if you want. I said, well, tell you what, I'll do one better for you. I said, you know, I live in my boat. I said, I hate using the shower on the boat because it's small. I said, you let me come over here, use your spare bathroom a couple times a week to shower in. And every time I'm here, I'll cook you dinner. And she's like, perfect. That went on for about 4 or 5 months. And then I was there every night cooking dinner. And then after probably about 7 or 8 months after that, we started dating. You know, she put her moves on me and came after me. She had a flat tire, is what it came down to. And I went over to fix the tire, and, you know, we've been pretty much inseparable since. And then 2.5 years ago, I started having a series of heat strokes, being outside 24/7 in the Florida sun. And the doctor straight up told me, you need out of Florida. You're going to die of a heat stroke. And we're like, okay. And we started looking at properties all over the country. We looked up in New Hampshire, where I'm from. We looked in New York, where she's from. We looked in Tennessee, Montana, Wyoming, Washington State. We couldn't find what we liked. Either they were junk, too high priced, or the taxes were through the roof. And Sarah's known that I've been trying to come up here for, since I was 18. And she said, why don't we go look in Alaska? And I just looked at her. I said, are you serious? And she's like, yeah. I said, well, you find the properties and then we'll go from there. Well, within 2 days, she had all kinds of properties listed up, and this place was one of them. And then we couldn't find a real estate agent to work with us. And we're like, huh. And I'm on Facebook complaining about nobody wants to work with us for real estate agencies. And then I see somebody else having the same problem, and this young girl named Alexis pops in and says, give me a call. And I said, oh, I'm calling this girl before somebody else does. So I call her up, and she goes, well, we get a lot of tire kickers here. When are you going to be here? I said, when do you want me there? And she goes, when can you get here? I said, give me 10 minutes. Call her back 10 minutes later, said, we'll be there Saturday. And this is Thursday. And she's like, oh, that's fast. I said, yes, I haven't had a vacation in 20 years. I need a vacation, and I need to get out of this heat. And we really want to look at these properties before they get snapped up, because this is right at the time all the property values were starting to skyrocket. So she's like, okay. So we flew up, stayed in Anchorage night. The next night we stayed in Talkeetna, which is the town closest to us. Funny story with that is we get to this Airbnb. It's a nice place. And this sign outside the front door says, please remove shoes before entering. And we get there and we see the sign. We open the door. We're getting ready to kick our shoes off. And Sarah's like, nope, not taking my shoes off. We go to bed that night. And it's probably about 10, 11 o'clock at night. You know, we're kind of laggy because of the time zone change. And all of a sudden the whole cabin just starts shaking. I mean, it's rocking and rolling. And I'm slapping the wall, you know, bear, go away. Because where I grew up in New Hampshire, we had bears a lot. So we were used to, you know, bears bouncing on buildings trying to figure out how to get in. So I'm slapping the wall, bear, go away, bear, go away. And it's not going away. This is like 20 seconds. And I get up and looking around and said, oh, crap, it's an earthquake. It was a 6.5 earthquake that hit like 10 miles south of us. So it was kind of exciting for both of us. You know, I'd never been in a serious earthquake. And, you know, and now we're in Alaska having our first earthquake. Next morning we get up, I take a shower. They have a little building for showers. Sarah's in the shower. I'm on the phone. I tell my mom I got to go. And there's a moose walking through the parking lot. And this moose, this cow, her shoulder was the same height as an SUV. I've been close to moose, but I think our moose in New England are smaller. So I'm banging on the door to the bathroom where Sarah is. And she's like, I'm in the shower. I said, you need to look out here now. So she comes to the door with a towel wrapped around her, and she's looking, and she goes, oh my God, a moose. So that was our first real nice experience in the area. So that day we meet with our real estate agent, we hop the train, and we're talking with her and the listing agent, who actually is a girlfriend of the seller. And I'm like, so how many people have had come up here? And like, well, we've had a lot of people try to come look, but they're showing up in Bermuda shorts and flip-flops to walk a mile up a wilderness trail. And I'm like, really? And she goes, yeah. So we've had to turn a few people away. So we get to our stop, which is about half an hour north of Talkeetna. And I get off the train, and Tom, the seller's there, and he just looks up, down, and he nods. He's like, okay. So we all get off the train, and we start down the trail. And it's a mile trail. We get to what we call the Y, the split, where it goes to the upper trail and then the lower trail. The girls go up the upper trail, and Tom and I head for the spring. He goes, I want to show you where things are at so you have an idea. So if you do, you know, if you are interested in the property, you'll have an idea what the resources are in the area. So we get out to the spring, and, you know, he's a little bit older than I am, and, you know, about as good a shape. And we're trotting along, and we get down there, we get a nice drink of water, get a couple of jugs, we're carrying them back. And he's constantly one of these over his shoulder looking at me. It's like he was judging me to see if I could be up here, you know, by being able to keep up, because a lot of people come up here, they have the dream of doing it, and 10 minutes later they get winded trying to walk. So we're trotting along. We come to, well, I don't know if you see my bridges video. We come to one of the bridges that I just recently rebuilt. And we get there and we pause for a second, look around, and he's like, well, they're up at the house. They're probably washing up, you know, getting the sweat off, because it was warm that day, and that was in May. And I said, Sarah's not going to wash her face with cold water. He goes, oh no, Rob, we have hot running water here. I'm like, oh, poo. He's like, what? I'm like, just give me the paperwork. He's like, what do you mean? I said, if it's got hot running water here in this place and it looks like it does in the photos, there's going to be an offer. And he's like, no. I get up there and we walk in the door of the cabin that was on the show. And Sarah's got this big old shit-eating grin on her face, and I'm like, I just looked at Tom, and he just kind of giggled. And we walked around the property for about 2 to 3 hours. They showed us around, and I said, okay, we just want to wander around. And they were like, okay, so we did that. We went back into the cabin. We had a nice little lunch with us, with our real estate agent and them. And Sarah and I already knew as soon as we walked on the property, even though we weren't together, we knew we were in the right place. You get that feeling that something is home, and that's how it felt. You just instantly know. And we at this time we didn't even know it was on the show. It wasn't listed as being on the TV show. So we get back into town and we call our real estate agent and we're like, we want to make an offer. And she's like, okay. So we made our offer, and we were pretty close to what they were asking, and they were like, okay, that works for us. And we're like, oh, well, actually, before that, Sarah looked at me and said, is this a dream or is this happening? And we just, both of us pretty much the same time said, this is happening. We knew. We just knew. So we spent, I don't know, probably about 2 or 3 days just zipping around up in this area, checking out different properties. We didn't take our real estate agent with us for any of them because we already knew what we wanted. We went and made our earnest money deposit after the offer was accepted, and flew back to Florida. And we're just still stunned by the decision we made. We'd never lived together. We had already been together a couple of years, but just never cohabited together. So it's like kind of nerve wracking on pins and needles a little bit. At the same time, the excitement level was through the roof. And we just looked at each other. She had already kind of put feelers out for listing her house. So we knew how much, we would be able to spend on property and this and that. And, I had to sell my boats and things like that. So we had an idea of the money we wanted to spend. She listed her property, and within, I think it was less than 48 hours, it was sold. Or more than asking.
Whoa.
More than asking price, because at that point is
when the asking price.
Wow. Yeah, and everybody was asking, paying more than the asking price, and it was cash. So it was good. We had a big estate sale. We pulled all of our stuff together, from what I had in storage, what I had on the boat. I sold my boat to a friend, and it took us about a month, really, 2 months to really get everything sold and up here. That happened. We flew back to Florida on June 2nd of 21, and by August 10th, we were in Alaska. So it happened fast. And there was a lot of naysayers, especially on Sarah's side. A lot of my friends didn't know what I was doing and they knew what I was doing, but they didn't know who I was doing it with. There is an age gap between Sarah and I, and a lot of people don't accept that. We don't really give two poops.
I understand that.
How friends can be. Friends can say, oh, well, he's too young or she's too old. So we kind of hit it on my side a little bit. It was mostly because of my mom. My mom knew Sarah. She liked Sarah. But we just kind of didn't want to make a big hubbub about it. Her friends were a little skeptical. He's young. He's just using you, stuff like that. What's he contributing? And she's like, it's none of your business what he's contributing. This is our lives, and this is our decision. And like it or love it, or like it or dislike it, it's what's happening. And a lot of them came around. Some of them knew me, because she was at she had her garden club friends that she'd always go to, and they'd always see me outside Dunkin' Donuts have my coffee in the morning before work. So they actually got to know me. Then when we made the decision and we were on the road, it was crazy. It became surreal at that time that we just uprooted our lives. She's been retired a while. I closed down a very profitable business, sold my sailboats, sold my power boats, and away we went. The trip up here was fun. Everybody talks about how horrible it is to drive long distance. It's really not that bad. Especially if you're just taking your time. We put no time limit on it. We knew we wanted to be up there by the end of August for closing, but we hadn't booked our flight from Seattle to Anchorage at all. We had a tentative date for the truck to go on the ship because we shipped the truck. We weren't going to drive it. I didn't feel like going up the Can-Alaskan Highway. It's just it's a long drive, and I really wasn't into it. And we had a lot of fun. I mean, we went places that neither one of us hadn't seen in a long time or at all. I mean, I did a lot of traveling when I was younger, and going through the Dakotas, Sturgis. What was the one? Of course, we went to Rushmore. We went to Crazy Horse Monument, things like that. Stuff that I hadn't seen in years. Well, I never went to Crazy Horse, but I don't think she had either. So it was a lot of first times and a lot of new memories of old places some of us have been to.
That's Skipper. That's exactly why I do these lives with people that a lot of people don't know about. So that his channel and our channel can connect together. If you want to put your links in the chat, type the word yarn in the YouTube side, and it will drop your link so we can connect. That's why I've kind of taken my channel this way now, is doing these lives with the people so that they can get to know new people, get to connect with new people, and learn about them.
But we had some adventures. I'm just telling some of the stuff that happened. Just to give things to talk about and things like that. We were in it was North Dakota, and we get out of the truck, get a room. We put Zeus in the hotel room, and we go up to this restaurant that's maybe a block and a half away. We walk there. We're walking back after we have a drink and we got our food. We're bringing back. Young girl calls up, I think I have your dog here, and he's really, really smart. I'm like, what do you mean you have our dog? You have a red Aussie, right? I'm like, yeah. Well, he's not here. He's at the front desk. I'm like, oh, we didn't look at the doors. Zeus knows how to open certain doors. If it's one of the ones that's at the bar like this, he knows he can push on it and pull it, and it opens the door. We had to change doors at Sarah's house, because of that. He was getting in and out of the screen door all the time. He actually got picked up by the cops. So he's got a little bit of a record. But we get to the hotel, and the poor girl's like, yeah, I look up, and he's sitting there just looking at me, sitting down looking cute. She said, I brought him over to another room. I closed him in the room. By the time I get back to my desk, he was back. So I'm like, I decided to just bring him around the back until you get back. And it's like, oh. So after that, every time we went to a hotel, we had to check to see what kind of doors they were. And if they had those kind of doors, one of us had to stay back. But
my two dogs have not learned to do that. And I'm glad.
You don't want to. We actually had to change.
I do have one of those type handles, because when you get arthritis,
yes,
trying to turn something, it bothers you. So that's why I went with the ones that pop down.
Right. But
made it easier on our mother that was in their 90s.
Right.
80s and 90s. And it made it easy that we could put, if we're carrying something, we could put it on that handle and then just push the door open.
Yep.
Yep.
That's why I do like them. So like I'm coming in with firewood or something like that, I can just use an elbow and open the door and win. Somebody said, what are you doing, Zuby? He's like, what? You're talking about me. I know you are.
Yes, we are talking about you.
But going back after it was about the time we made the offer on the property is when they told us that the property was on the show Railroad Alaska. And I had seen it years ago. So that night when we got back to the Airbnb, we stayed at a different Airbnb the second night. We've actually become friends with the owners of that one. And I introduced Sarah to the show, and the first off-gridders you see on the show were Jim and Nancy. And it's just like, I know that cabin. That's going to be ours. We still watch it once or twice a year. We'll go through the whole series, and watch it. Just see, because every time, it's one of those things, every time you watch something, you see something a little bit different. And we're seeing things where one of the side yards by the cabin was all grass at one point. Now it's all overgrown because the guy, we got it from Tom, didn't spend a lot of his summers up here because he's a fishing guide. So it all got overgrown. So we're seeing different things on the show where we can go back and change it. And that's what one of the goals is.
This was cute that Skipper just said. They shouldn't call it arthritis.
Arthrons. Right.
Thank you, Vicky Digits, for coming in.
Yes, thank you for everybody for showing up. So when we actually put the truck on the ship to be sent up, that was easy, expensive as hell because the cap on the truck is really tall. So it couldn't go on the regular floor that vehicles being transported up would. So we had to want to pay more for that. But we get to the airport to come up here. We dropped Zeus off at the pet check-in, which took forever because it seemed like every person decided to show up with their dog on that day. It took us 3 hours to check through, and we got there 6 hours early. Get them checked through. We go through TSA. 4 hours is what it took. We get to the last guy to do our, the X-rays and all that stuff of our luggage, and he kept us there for 40 minutes. And I finally looked. I said, "You do realize we're missing our flight?" And he goes, "Don't matter to me." And of course, this is getting my head steaming. I'm pretty mellow tempered, but I'm thinking, well, we're missing our flight. Where's our dog? And things like that. He finally clears us after he realizes it was something that we didn't even need to be stopped for, because he couldn't find it in the bag. I'm like, just empty the bag. He's like, no, I gotta do a certain way. So finally, like I said, we get through. We get up to the terminal, and we're like, that's our flight. And they're like, it's already filled, and we gave your seats away. And I said, okay, here's I've been stuck down in TSA for 4 hours. We were here early with the dog, getting him checked in, and because of TSA, we just missed our flight. And the lady's like, well, we can get you on one in an hour. I said, here's the other problem. Our dog's on that plane. There's no dogs on that plane. I said, you might want to look into it. And then 5 minutes later, we see Zeus being taken off the airplane. And they're like, oh, I'm like, yeah. Oh, had my dog gone to Alaska before we did, they would be held to pay, because he would have been sitting there for an extra, hours, not being able to get out of his cage to go potty. He don't like being flying as it is. So we got up to Anchorage that day, and that's when it really hit that we'd made a major change in our lives. Coming here and starting anew. We're not unfamiliar with the country life. We're both farmers. And when we got to town, the real estate agent that was selling the property, Tom's girlfriend, also had a tiny house, and she agreed to rent it to us for the month while we're waiting on closing. And when I say tiny house, it's smaller than this room. And this is a size room. There was a bed, a counter with a sink, and a wood stove. So I was like, oh. And at that point, we started our shopping. Things that we knew we were going to need, things we were going to want. And for a month, we did that. By the time we were ready to leave, that little tiny cabin was so packed full of stuff. It was unbelievable. Between the truck, the cabin, it was just a mess. And we tried to get the closing date moved up, and it was hard. They kept having problems with the title company. They were having issues with workers. Tom was working a lot, so it was kind of hard to do that. And then finally, I said, hey, can we at least, we're here, we have the money, that everything's ready to go. And I'm like, can we just start moving in? Because we're running out of time, because the train stops running at X date. And they finally agreed. So we got everything together. Well, not everything, but a good chunk of stuff to the train yard, and started bringing our stuff up on the train. And we look like the Clampetts. We have these big black totes that they give us at the train yard, and we had 2 of those full. And the guys are like, this is going to take forever for you guys to unload this on the train. I'm like, no, you just hand it down to me. It's just getting chucked to the side. We did 6 trips like that. And after the first trip, because we have to do it overnight, because at that time it was still COVID. So the train was only going north on one day and then south on the next day, instead of running twice in one day. We realized that our 4-wheeler we had up here was not going to work for Sarah, because it's only meant for one person. And she was trying to sit behind me, and it was way uncomfortable for her. She was hurting her hips and her knees. So when we get back to town, we decided we're going to find another 4-wheel. We found one that shipped up. It was a mess. But it took us, I said, about 6 trips to get everything up to the house.
Hey, Digits, you're funny.
My dog can land the plane.
I'm looking over there and seeing people coming in. Hi,
Yeah.
Susan. Thank you for coming.
But
We're learning some things out about Rob and him moving to Alaska, and
yep.
really, really great, you know?
Yep. We finally did our closing on August 31st of 21. And that's when we really started hot and heavy bringing our stuff up to the house. And we were told by the gentleman that ran the train depot, Jack, who was actually on the TV show, but he retired right after we got here. He says, "Oh, the last train is going to be on the, I think it was the 18th of September." So we show up on the 18th of September, and he's in a panic. I'm like, "What's wrong, Jack?" He goes, "I made a mistake." I'm like, "What do you mean?" He goes, "The last train north was yesterday." And he's like, "So you're going to have to wait 2 weeks to go home." I said, "I can't. I've got chickens up there." I said, "We've got to find a way." He's like, I'm like, "Who else can we call?" He goes, "You can go over to Mahays, which is a jet boat tour." I called them. Nobody answered. Then I called Rhett. He used to own Phantom Fishing, Phantom Charters or something like that. I can't remember the exact. He's since sold it. And I'm like, "Rhett, can you get me up to my property?" And he goes, "Yep." And he says, "I'll get you as close as I can." So we loaded the last of our stuff, the dog, Sarah, and I, onto this little boat, which is a jet boat. It's not little, it's fair size. 2 hours later and a couple $100 later, we get to a mile within the property. We offloaded Ed because he couldn't get up to where the slough goes up close to our train stop. So we had to stop south a ways, pile everything onto the rocks. And mind you, this is bear season. You know, the bears love going down to that river fishing because that's when the salmon are running. So we packed everything up onto the side of the rocks and walked down the tracks, went to the house with a few things, dropped Zeus, and we went back with a dolly. So we're toting stuff back and forth up and down the tracks with a dolly to get to the four wheeler because the tracks are steep. Halfway through, and Railroad Alaska, don't listen. I finally said, "Hell with it! I need to get the stuff in there because it's food." I just drove the four wheeler down there with a trailer and tied everything into the back of it and went home. It was just crazy because I knew there wasn't going to be a train because the train will only run once a day. So we did that, got everything there. It was a unique experience to get everything here. Dealing with the train, dealing with
it was. It's kind of like I'm in a situation right now that I have a car at the end of my driveway
right.
that don't run because something happened. Even though I always made sure I kept oil in it, it must have leaked out faster. And the bearings, when I pulled that oil filter off and I cut that oil filter open,
Yeah.
there was brass particulates in it. So I was like, yeah.
That's not good. That's not good
No,
at all.
It's not good at all. You know, and being that I'm on disability, I've been thinking of different ways of being able to get into town because I have to go up a hill and I got bad knees. I still do move around, but I have my mother's electric wheelchair. And tomorrow, my brother and I are going to strap this wagon on the back of that thing, you know, with ratchet straps or whatever to put on there. And I'm going to try to go up that hill with it.
Might as well. What's it going to hurt?
What's it going to hurt? You know?
Just make sure it's got brakes.
You know? I'm kind of like, And my brother's going to ride his bike. You know, and we're going to go to the not to the farmer's market, but to the pantry. We can catch a bus that's about 2 miles away from our house.
Yep.
Catch the bus, you know, with that wheelchair, get it on there. It's an electric one.
Yep.
And it's one that says you're supposed to use in the house. Well, I'm not. So we're gonna
do that stuff.
I'm gonna do what I have to do to get to where I need to be.
Exactly. You have to. You have to make do. I mean, if you don't, I mean, you know, you're gonna either do it out or you're gonna have a major problem.
Exactly.
It's like with us, you know. I mean, we knew that there was gonna be issues when we got here. when we first came up here and looked at the property, we didn't know what the issues were. He did tell us it was one leak in one roof, and we're still aware of that, and it's getting remedied. It's nothing major. It goes into a closet, and it's just one little drip. But our first night that we spent here, before we actually closed, started the wood stove up just to see how well it would heat. We found a 4-inch long crack in the top of it.
Ooh.
So the first thing we knew is we had to go buy another wood stove. And Sarah will tell you, my big thing is I like researching. I was a journalist for a while too on the side. So I love researching things. So we started looking into wood stoves, and we come up with the Blaze King Princess 32. And we went and dumped a bunch. Well, we first went down and talked to a lady, and she was straight up honest with us. She goes, "Hey, I'm going to tell you now, this isn't a sales pitch. The prices are going up $1,000 in a month. So if you want one of these stoves, you need to do it now." And I looked at the price. I made record of it in the old Kanagan up here, and we purchased it. And when we went back in there a month later to pick it up, or a couple weeks later to pick it up, the price had already gone up $1,200. So we actually did it when we did. I mean, still, it was an expensive stove, but I'm looking at Sarah. I don't feel safe trying to drag this up the trail. And we said, hell with it. And we called Talkeetna Air, and they delivered it with a helicopter. And that was our
pricey.
Actually, it was not bad. Talkeetna Air, because they deal with so many of us out here in the bush, they charge it just straight flight time. We dropped it in Talkeetna at the air hangar, and they slung it, picked it up, dropped it here. And being a shipwright, I worked with a lot of cranes, so I know timing is everything. They want to get in and get out. I mean, so it's like as soon as they hit the ground, I had it disconnected, and she was on her way. That trip cost us $200 because it's only 15 minutes flight time from here. So it wasn't bad. Then it was a challenge of getting into the house. This is a 350-pound stove, and I'm doing it by myself. Sarah, I mean, she's strong cookie. She knows how to do things, but she don't have the upper body strength. So I got it over to the house and used my dolly, got it into the house. Then I set the stand up. I'm like, oh, that stand's 2 foot tall or 1.5 feet tall. I've got to get it up on that. So I broke out all kinds of boards and made levers and got it up on there and got it hooked up. It only took me about an hour to do the whole thing. So that was our first experience with, we got a problem. So, and it really wasn't a problem. It just had to think about how you're going to do things. This is a big thing. We hear so many people up here, oh, I blew my back out, or I broke my leg, or I did this, or I did that. And I'm like, how'd you do that? Well, I wasn't paying attention, or I didn't think about something before I did it. I'm like, you always need to think about things, especially out here, because if you get one owie, it can be life-threatening. I mean, you can get a sliver out here, and it could kill you. You get blood poisoning, and you're not paying attention to it, you're done. You have to pay attention. You got to make sure you know what you're doing. I mean, I've got full med kits here. The only thing I don't have is a proper scalpel for surgery. But I mean, I got enough cooking knives that I could probably do it.
You've got to be on your best of what you're doing, because you are so far out. You're not in town, and how far away is the closest hospital to where you live?
That'd be in Wasilla for a hospital, and that's even once I get to town in Talkeetna, that's still an hour drive. But like this time of year, the train only runs twice a week. It runs north on Saturday, south on Sunday. So if it's midweek and I've got a problem, if it's bad, I've got to call a heli. That's the only way I'm getting out. There's no snow on the ground. I can't just zip down the tracks. Which is frowned upon. It's done. Everybody does it, it seems like, but it's frowned upon. Because you're not paying attention, you get struck by a train. There's no coming back from that. Only I've seen that's come back from getting struck by that train was a brown bear. They tagged 2 of them in the booties this year, and one of them just rolled down the hill and turned around and started charging at the train, growling at it. And the other one they tagged just north of us, and he kind of did the same thing, but he ran off into the woods. And a couple of days later, I ran into him, waiting on the train. He didn't get close up to me. He didn't see me. I see him coming out of the bushes, and I got on my 4-wheeler and went home. I was waiting on the train, and the train was 2 hours late.
And are they grizzly that are in your area?
We have black bears and grizzly here.
Okay.
we have a large population of black bears and probably 3 grizzlies in the area. There's 2 juveniles. Actually, there's 4. There's 2 juveniles and a mom. And then we have the big guy who I'm a size, well, the boots I had on in the photo I took were size 12. But then there's a bunch of air gap in between. So it's about a 15-inch shoe. I stepped inside of his track.
Oh my.
It's a big bear. And then the sow, the female, is probably her track's probably about 12 inches across. You know, they're not small bears. They're the 2 that are up here, the big ones, are trophy bears. They're extremely large. I mean, when I put my foot inside of that big bear track, I almost, pooed myself. It was not fun.
I bet it's not
around much this year.
Yeah, it's great.
Well,
I'm gonna.
6. Good to see you in here, Susan Gotch. I love Robin Stairs channel. Thank you. I'm glad you do. And Rushing Wind.
Are you guys ready to have some other people up here? I can only have 6 because I have the one that. Let's see here.
Now, Susan, it's you get used to the bears pretty quick. We actually had one on the property right here by the cabin about 3 weeks ago. It was a sow, and I had to chase her off. I almost shot her until I realized she had a cub with her. But the cub was last year's cub, so technically I could have, but I try not to. I will hunt them next year because they're becoming a problem and they're eating all of our moose.
I have to wait. I don't know how to get rid of that heart. So I have to wait for the chat to move so I can pin it at the top. I don't like having that heart there, but someone stepped me through it one time and I don't remember it. It takes me a little bit of a time to.
Yeah, we have a lot of black bears. I see somebody saying they're too far east for grizzlies, but we have a lot of black bears. We've had run-ins with probably 3 or 4 different sows this year, and we see tracks all over the place from different ones. You can tell the different ones because different size pads. But we have this is sitting down by the tracks, so there's a lot of salmon there. We do have a creek that feeds into the Susitna that's spring fed, and we get a lot of salmon that come up in that. And well, this year we didn't have a lot of salmon, but last year, you walk down by the spring to get water, and you go down by where the old dam was, the beaver dam, and all you can smell was salmon because the bears will pull them up onto the ground and eat them, and then leave half the carcass. You know, they're kind of wasteful critters. They'll sit there and get all these fish, and then they don't eat it all. They're kind of gluttons.
Oh, Mrs. C is feeding you, Skipper. But everybody knows what my channel's all about, is blessing people with beautiful hats.
Yes.
You know that usually it takes me an hour to get done with a band, and it's only 58 minutes. This is pretty good. Yes, I honestly believe, because I have seen other people that harvest, I'm going to say it that way, harvest deer.
Yep.
And in Florida, they're a lot smaller than what they are here.
In Florida?
Yes.
Yeah, we call those, they're called, we call them dogs with antlers. There were,
you look at one here in Missouri, and they're pretty good sized.
Yeah, I think the biggest one I saw down in Florida was probably.
Hi, Byron.
60, 170
Thank you for coming.
Yeah, we get some new folks walking in. Yarnworks
Yes,
by
we do.
I'm in Talkeetna, which is north of Anchorage by about 2 hours. But we're also about another 14 miles north of Talkeetna.
Let me count how many I've got here. 7, 5.
And so you guys know, if you see me looking up, it's because I have my TV going and the computer's here.
2.
It's just easier for me to read up there. So if you see me looking up, that's why. But, you know, some of the big challenges we had when we first got up here was figuring out food storage. There was a little baby freezer that you guys probably saw. If you saw the video, I had an issue with the freezer going down in midsummer, and that was behind the cabin. So we did a lot of our food in that the first year, and we weren't sure what we were going to need. So we went down to a local butcher shop, and they have meat packages. Well, the first year we went through 2 of the meat packages because we bought small ones. They can try to conserve money, which we didn't have to worry about money. We were just trying to figure out. It's a learning experience of what we were going to need, what we didn't need. So I spent a lot of time the first year going in and out of town. Oh, well, we forgot this. Oh, I'll go to town on the first Thursday train. The first Thursday of every month, the train goes north and south on the same day. So I'd usually go into town on a Thursday and then come home on the Saturday train. So I get a day to go shopping. I think I drove to Anchorage almost every month the first winter.
Hi, Beverly. Thank you for coming.
Not like Anchorage. But it was a learning experience trying to figure out exactly what we needed for supplies here. The house and the property was well set up, tools, things like that. I mean, there's certain things I still need for tools, but a lot of it was here, and we didn't bring a lot. We packed everything into our truck, and that's all we brought. We should have brought my work trailer and stuffed that full with other things, because Sarah had some beautiful furniture that would have fit in perfectly up here. So with that stuff in mind, we're like, okay, so we need to get this, we need to get that. And that was an extremely snowy year. We had no snow. Well, we had little bits of snow, but it would melt fairly quickly. And then around Thanksgiving, we were hitting sub-zeros for like 3 weeks. And our cabin over there has a crib septic for the shower, the washing machine, and then the kitchen sink had its own drain. Well, the bathroom side of it froze solid by the first week of December. And we were having to put buckets under the sink to drain into, kind of like a dry cabin a lot of people do up here. So that was a fun experience to do. And
I didn't. There was one time. There was one time someone said dry cabin. I'm like, what's a dry cabin? And then they explained it.
Yep.
It was the one that was alone in Alaska.
Yep.
That lady has a dry cabin, and I'm like, okay, yes, I guess then you end up using a composting toilet or something like that, or having an outhouse.
House. That cabin actually had a regular standard toilet in it, but I brought my composting toilet from the sailboat. I've been using the same one for, I can't even count how many, it's 7-8 years. So I was like, well, I'll just bring that up, because we were told they didn't know if that one worked or not. Tom never used it. He just used the outhouse. So we put my composting one in there, and that works beautifully up here. So the first winter was kind of hectic. Like I said, we had the 3 weeks of freezing where everything was cold. We were hitting, -20, -25 was the lowest we saw that year. And then the snow started, and it didn't stop.
I just seen that Nancy came in. Beverly, I usually don't do this on lives, but do you want to be a mod for me? Since I think there's only one in here. I know Beverly. So.
Oh, you're fine. But
see what she says.
Yeah.
So I know Nancy's here, and I thought that Simply Jan was here at 12 in the morning.
Right. Yeah, I saw that on there.
And I don't see her. I don't see her here.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks a lot, Beverly.
So once the snow started, it started packing higher and higher. Of course, clearing the roofs and stuff like that. Because the cap. What's that?
Thank you for your help.
Oh,
yeah.
And then I was talking to my mom one day, and she was worrying about me. I said, Mom, stop worrying. Sarah is here with me. So finally she knew that Sarah was here. And she goes, well, I want to come up and see you guys. I'm like, all right, get your tickets. I'll pick you up in Anchorage. Well, she came up for her birthday in February. She got there the first part of January or February. In February, 28 days, we had 2 days it did not snow. And when I was saying it snowed, it was 24/7. Just in February alone, we had over 10 feet of snow. And our total, I think I was talking with a friend yesterday, our total foot snow count for 21 to 22 was like 22 foot.
Okay, Yarn Works by Linda. I'm going to make you a mod also.
There you go.
Just to, there we go.
ESP digits. Bison does taste good. We actually had a bison farm down in Punta Gorda, Florida, around where we used to live. And I used to go out there and get nice roast and tenderloins from them.
I was really surprised. I had gotten some different packages of meat, and I went into I have an upright freezer,
Mhm.
you know, and not a lot of space. So I would rather have a chest, but in finding some stuff that my freezer burned that I feed to my dogs.
Yep. Yeah,
I found it's either 1.5 pounds or 2 pounds of bison.
Yep.
Meat that I'm going to be taking out and finally making some homemade chili.
Ooh, there you go. Now, a lot of people are afraid to, but if you get stuff like that, you save it, can it. Canned meat is very good. I don't know if you can at all.
I used to. I do have a gas stove, but I always felt a little intimidated. Without my mom here now, my feelings are a little more acute.
Yes.
That I'm afraid to do it, even though I have my sister's pressure canner.
Yeah.
You know, I know she took good care of it.
I've got 2 or 3 canners, newer canners, and I've got a very old Dixie from Dixie Canning Company. I'm trying to find parts for it because it's got the old blow-off valve, and I'd rather have a jiggler. So I'm trying to find a jiggler.
That's the kind I have, is one with a 5, a 10, and a 15.
Yeah, that's what I like that because they're pretty much foolproof.
Thank you for coming.
Ask questions.
Yeah. Does anybody have any questions for Rob?
Yeah, I was just gonna look at Mike's there. How do you barbecue and all that snow? I haven't barbecued since I've been here. I've got a little hibachi grill, and that's about it. I'm actually going to be making a summer kitchen here in the next year or so, and I will put a small barbecue out there. We can do it over fire, things like that. But again, I'm looking up here because the camera's here. My TV's up here with everything on it. Yes, there's a way. And let me see.
Hi, Simon.
There was another question. Where am I from? I'm originally from New Hampshire, Lydia, where I was born and raised.
Look at how I have already. Usually it takes me an hour, but take a look at that.
That's because I'm talking too much.
No, it's okay.
I know.
You know, it gives me a rhythm. You know, it's usually when I'm up on someone's panel and I'm doing this, you know, I've gotten a little bit better that I can talk and do it.
Yeah.
You're my white noise, you know, that just gets me in that rhythm. And there's I'll not name the people, but they'd rather have me talking and
right.
You know, it's like, hey, that's them and I'm me.
Now I know our friends Adam and Phyllis, you were on their live the other day, or no, maybe it was on Alone's live. They were talking about, no, it was their live. You were commanding, they were talking about the hats. They're an interesting couple too. They're really good friends of ours. We hang out with them a lot when we're in town, and they've been up here to the house a couple times.
I kind of
well with them.
They're gonna be eventually going live doing the same thing you've done.
Good.
You know, so it'll get people to connect to them. And
yep.
You know, a lot of people keep asking me if I'm gonna monetize, and I'm not. You know, I'm just gonna continue to do these and bless people with, as I put it, with warm heads.
How large are the mosquitoes during summer? Actually, our area is not like the interior. We don't get a lot of mosquitoes here. If we go down by the tracks, our elevation at the property is around 660 feet, and down by the tracks it's around 580. So we have a little bit of an elevation difference, and there's a lot more standing water down there. So down at the tracks, there's a lot of mosquitoes. Down in Talkeetna, there's a lot of mosquitoes. But here at the house, we don't get a lot of them, and they don't get very big. They don't swarm like you see on mosquitoes.
I'm going to show you this. That's the band. I end up doing 16 rows.
Oh wow!
For the band, and then I
bent it.
Well, yes, it's
wow.
Now your band will be that thick, but your hat won't be.
Well, yeah, but it will cover the ear tips and stuff.
Yes, it will, and it can go on the back of your neck to keep your neck warm.
Very nice.
Rushing wind of how you said warm heads instead of hot heads. Well, they're some people's heads get hot also.
Yes.
Because they certainly do, because it's all about my channel, as I put it. It's all about blessing people with warm heads.
Yep.
They may get hot. I hope they don't get hot where they're sweating in my hats. But
I will probably, because I have a high body temperature. When I found out with all the heat strokes that I have hyperthyroidism, and so my body doesn't like heat, and my body temperature naturally is high.
Let's see there.
Let's just put it this way: in the wintertime, we just need a sheet and a thin blanket on top of us, because that's how warm my body gets.
Wow.
Yeah, that's part of the reason why I was having the heat strokes down in Florida, and why we had to get out of there. It was just way too hot.
Yeah, I also make hats that are more like as Skipper puts it, a toque. They're much longer.
Yeah.
And he's going to come up here, and because of,
if he's calling it a toque, he must be from Canada.
He is.
Yeah. I lived in Canada.
What my father would call this is a stocking cap.
Yes.
I call it a beanie. I'm guessing that's kind of my era, it's a beanie.
Right.
And then of course I have the long ones that I'm now making, which I'm not sure what to call them.
Yes. Yeah, it's different people going to call them different things.
I mean, it's all about the same thing, about keeping your head warm. And
yes, I had a friend of ours. He was actually on the cabin that was down the trail from us, and another friend bought it. His wife made us some nice ones, but they're too thin, and she made it for his size head. And he's got a really small head.
And here comes Skipper.
Hey.
Yes.
Here comes
I'm
Santa.
wearing one of Rebecca's fine creations.
Very nice.
It's one of the best ones I've ever had, and I'm telling you, I have to fight Mrs. Claus for it every day again. Everything she makes, Rebecca makes, my wife wants.
Oh, I'm sure. And I'm probably going to have my hands with Sarah.
Of course, my wife looks much better in this than I do, but I'm willing to share it when I'm not using it for work.
Right.
Do you realize that because of Brian at the Vineyard Farmhouse?
Yes.
Jesse of Lazy Days Ahead with Jesse and Lisa. Yes, they're going to get a notification that I'm talking about this. Is the when he's seen Brian's, he seen me in the chat one time on his live and said, "I'm jelly. You need to make me one." So I now got 2 more of those to make for Yes I Can Barbecue and Jesse.
Well, when it gets between minus 45, minus 50 up here, it's nice to have something this warm.
Yes. Whereabouts in Canada are you?
I'm actually in central Alberta.
Okay. I lived in Winterpeg for a little bit.
Oh, the Windy City, yes.
Yeah. I was there for about 9 months, and then I was in Stevensville, Ontario for a little while as well.
Oh, wow. You really did get around.
Yeah. When I was younger, I traveled around a lot. I wanted to see the country. My grandfather taught me when I was young, says, do what you can when you're young, because you never know what's going to happen when you get old.
That's absolutely correct.
Yep. And I pretty much lived by that. I mean, everybody gave me hell when I was living on my sailboats and traveling around the Caribbean on them. And then they're like, "Why are you doing that? You should be working." I was, so I am working. I said, I work for a few months and make some money, take off. Like, the money only goes so far, and I can't take it with me.
That's true. That's true. Yeah, in my real life, my family should stay away from ships. Every single one of my family members that has been on board a ship have met with some sort of tragedy. I mean, Captain Edward Zeeland served with Admiral Nelson. He was my 5th great-grandfather. He didn't die on the ship, but when he was wandering through the cow pastures of Old York, Toronto, way back when, a cow kicked him in the head and killed him. Oh. What a way to go.
I tell you, the cows are mean. Everybody worries about the sharks. You got to worry about the cows.
Yeah. Thomas Conlon was a 3rd-class passenger on the Titanic. He fell out of the Gene Pool. Then I've got 2 cousins that went down on the USS Arizona.
Oh, wow.
So, let's stay away from ships, even though I did a lot of sailing in the Great Lakes and even did some deep sea fishing in the Bay of Fundy. But no, I was a landlubber most of my life,
Now we got one claim to fame with boating, and that was one of our ancestors. He was on the HMS Bounty.
Wow, that is quite the thing.
Yep.
Now, did he go with Bly or did he go with Christian?
He was with Christian. Their descendants are still on the island.
Is that right?
Yep. We actually, my great uncle and I have been sending letters back and forth. I need to get in touch and find out if he's got an email, because we've been trying to do the family tree thing. On the ship's log, it has him as English. He's actually Portuguese.
Oh, is that right?
Yep. So.
Actually, a lot of the British ships were manned by Portuguese and Spanish sailors. A lot of people don't know that.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. I didn't even know that.
You look at the Mary Rose, one of Henry Tudor's ships that went down.
Yep.
They didn't close the gun ports fast enough when they had to do a hard banking, and they flooded the ship.
Yep.
Most of the sailors on that ship were Spanish.
Yep. Yeah, it's just whatever port they picked them up in, that's what nationality they said they were.
Yeah, exactly.
Because a lot of different countries, the last names are pretty based on the countries. We're Quintels, which is a Portuguese name. So you're not going to find a Quintel in England unless he's been transplanted.
It's amazing. Yeah, of course, you take a look in Canada, go to Quebec, and you'll find almost all the Quebecers there have Irish names.
Yes.
Tons.
Yep.
Interesting world we live in. Rebecca, this hat is too good. I died.
Out the sweat.
Holy mackerel. Wow.
The yarn down at the bottom,
Uh-huh.
where the band section is,
is
a baby blanket yarn.
Oh, wow. Oh, nice and soft, too.
I am seriously going to enjoy wearing that this winter.
Very soft. So it's a 6-ply yarn that I did on that bottom.
Right.
And stuff. It was like, oh my goodness. But it's going to be very warm. And then the yarn that I did his hat with is called Homespun by Lion Brand. So it's also a thicker type yarn, and it makes it look oldie, kind of that old look to it.
Yes.
So if it makes that look oldie, does that make me look youngy when I put it on?
Yes, it does.
You got to remember, hey.
I like that. Good cup.
It's like each one of those hats, when I'm making those long ones, it's 8 hours.
Wow.
Oh, I know. It's
8 hours.
Brilliant. Just brilliant. Whew. I am looking forward to walking through Safeway.
This takes me only 2 hours, but this one might take me a little bit shorter because you guys are talking and I'm able to just do this.
Right.
Well, I can only talk so long anyway because my weekly live feed starts in 15 minutes, but I had to hang out here.
Well, you know that I won't be over there.
Well, I know that.
Finishing this up and come over after that. And,
Oh yeah, always.
You know?
You're more than welcome. Try to win
This
some
is-
more coins off me.
But all I know is I enjoy being here with you, all of my friends, and as I call you, my family. You know,
Yep.
my friends and family. I may have not met all of you, but you know, just being able to talk to somebody, it's so great. You know, having
some people become family members. You know,
they do.
that's what's about the the YouTube community is it is that way. You know, not just with creators, but also with subscribers. I mean, we have some of our subscribers that we talk to either via email or chats on a regular basis.
Yep, same here.
Nice.
All the
So
time. I have friends all over the world.
Yep.
If you want to know your weather, type in weather, and then if you want to use your city and state, you can, because with mine being where I live, there is other Columbias. So
Yep.
it took Columbia, South Carolina. So I end up doing my postal code.
Yes. BBQ Mike, when we first get up here, there is no cell phone signal here. We have cell phone boosters. And for the first year and a half we were here, we used a hotspot that worked off cell phones. And now we have Starlink. We had to, when we started doing more on YouTube, we had to have a better way, because otherwise what I was doing, I'd have 3 or 4 videos ready and I'd go to town and upload them while I'm in town. And sometimes if they get poor quality internet, it could take a full day just to upload 2 videos. So we finally bit the bullet when Starlink really started coming out here and went with that. So that's how we have our internet. And so far, at first, when we were doing our lives, it would come in and go out. Sometimes we would lose it altogether. But they recently opened up a ground station down the Aleutian Islands, and they put up more satellites here. So now it's pretty much uninterrupted. We've been doing the last few lives with it, and it's been great.
Everybody that's out there should realize how lucky you are to live at the time you're at. Because
Yes.
a lot of the northern communities used to really rely on ham radio and that sort of thing. And if you've ever had to deal with skip, it's a pain. So it's so nice to be able to have the internet and get things like Starlink in place. Wow, it's amazing. Because man, that wilderness, especially when you start getting north here, it's vast. It is really vast.
Yes. Now I know one of the big reasons why we finally got it is a friend of ours. He works for a company. I think he might be part owner, and he was traveling around even up by Prudhoe Bay, installing solar and wind generators, stuff like that. And he's like, "Rob, this thing's amazing." And he was trying to sell me one. Of course, he's trying to mark up the price. I'm like, no. And I went and bought one locally from the company, and the Starlink was the best thing we could do, because it gives so many more people access to the internet. Not everybody likes Elon Musk. I don't care if somebody likes him or not. I don't need that. I just need his services. That's all I need. That's all I care about.
This is the first time I've seen this person in my chat. Thank you for coming. Crocheting Around New Zealand. Trish, thank you for coming.
You're on my bucket list.
Who? Her or New Zealand?
Her. Oh, yeah. I want to go to New Zealand, not her.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I'm kind of like, wow. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming.
But, it's having good connection up here to us is important, because it gives us our access to folks back home. Or if there's an emergency, we can always use that to get a hold of somebody to come up and get us.
Exactly. Yeah.
If you want to drop your link, Crocheting Around New Zealand, Trish, type the word yarn in the chat, and your link will be dropped so we can connect with you.
Rebecca's
kind of interesting. I don't know how to do all that. And I see you got Nightbot in there. I don't know how to use Nightbot either.
Well, the thing is that Devil Dog helped me set that up. The thing about Nightbot is you have to go in and turn everything off. and then only click on the links that you want, because
Oh,
it will time out people.
really?
It's yes.
Huh.
So that was the key thing, is that I had to go in there and click everything off, and then he'd say, click on this one and this one. And
Oh, I didn't
so,
lose you. Okay, no.
you haven't.
Okay, I'm just trying to do something here on the computer.
I've got a fly bothering me,
Get him.
and I don't know why.
I was trying to set it up so I, for some reason, didn't have it set up so I could actually type in the chat, and I just set it up so I could. So I just want to see how that works.
But you do it in the YouTube side, and there it is, and you'll see how it will pop up your link.
Huh.
There it is.
Interesting. I kind of like that. See, I'm still learning all this stuff. I've had 2 other YouTube channels over the years. My first one was for air guns and outdoor gear reviews, and I had that for about 6-7 years, and I had a large subscriber base. I had close to 27,000 people, and back then it was before, when you started doing videos, you were instantly monetized,
Right.
and I mean, I still get a couple of videos that are posted, 8,000-9,000 views on them. But the issue back then was Sandy Hook happened, and because I had guns and knives, stuff like that, and when I talked about hunting, they wiped out my channel.
Oh, wow.
And a month later, like, oh, well, we're sorry, because they started getting class action lawsuits filed against them. You can re-upload everything. And at that point, I'm like, I'm not going to re-upload it because you've already wiped me once. So I just stopped. I put maybe about 10, 15 videos back up, and they're still there. And didn't take off again. I mean, they wiped out everything, my subscriber list, all the videos. I had like 300 videos out, and they just went doop and got rid of them. Swipe of the hand, and it was all gone. Then I had my sailing one, which I never really did too much with because I was always working. I still got
That's one thing, Rob, I've always wanted to do.
What's that?
Was going sailing, and of course, I don't know if in my area, I live in central Missouri, and I do see that some people down at the Lake of the Ozarks put sailing boats in there, and I don't know how they're getting around because there's not that much wind, so I'm guessing they're using motors.
Yeah, you can use much, but really, if you have the boat set up properly, it doesn't take a lot of wind. I've sailed everything from 10 footers to 70 footers.
Yeah. You got to get a few guys out of the bar and put them in your boat. That way you have enough wind to
Shanghai. Let's see here. Oh,
I'm reading what Barbecue Mike G said. Rob, I'm going to pop this up so you can read it.
You live in the camping cabin at Google Maps called Curmudge Inn. I think my buddy John posted those photos. That's gonna be actually a rental cabin. That cabin's gonna be turned into an Airbnb. That was a cabin that Jim and Nancy lived in on the show, and they lived in there for like 20-something years. What I'm in now is, if any of you seen the TV show Road Alaska, the last season and a half that they were in the house or on the show, Jim started building this house. And when we got here, it was just a roof, 4 walls, the downstairs floor, and then the second floor, and just studs in for like 2 walls. And in the first winter we were here, this is the only room that's left to get done. I did everything else. And if you've seen any of my kitchen walkthrough stuff like that, you'll see how it looks. It looks really good. But yeah, if that's the one that's on there, that's where John was staying. That's gonna be the rental cabin, one of 2.
Well, the thing that really, really got to me is my father was a master mechanic. And when I seen that you brought in a toolbox, I was like, I loved that,
Yep. Yeah, BBQ Mike, there are no roads here. The nearest road is 13 miles away in town.
It just kind of made me think, could I end up doing something like that instead of I have 3, the kitchen I have here, what I live in is a modular home.
Right.
And there are only 3 small drawers in the kitchen.
Oh,
3.
God.
That's it.
I'd have that filled in about half a second.
It's crazy, you know. But yeah, your avatar will drop down, Skipper, because that's how Devil Dog has got it set up.
Yeah, I know. Quite a bit different. I got to get him to help me.
And right now, I don't have someone. If something were to happen to me, this is what's going to be interesting. Is I don't have someone that can bring me back up. There was one time that I was on my own live that we lost internet.
Oh.
And I literally had to come back up on my phone, and I was in my own chat and clicked the link at the top. That was the third time that I learned how to do that. And they had to call Devil Dog, and Devil Dog had to bring me back up on my own live. And right now I don't have someone down there that could do that.
Lydia says,
okay, I gotta find somebody.
Yeah. What do you mean throw yarn at my door, Lydia? Sorry, I just saw that. I'm just scrolling back at those.
Take a look at this now.
Oh wow. Oh god, that's gonna be nice and warm.
But both of these yarns are a 4-ply.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So it's definitely going to be warm. And usually I try to do a 3 and a 4, but this is so. Wait until you feel this, Rob. This is so soft.
Now, when you mail it out, do you just do like the it fits at Chip's box?
Usually, I just send it through USPS.
Okay.
But because I don't have a vehicle, and I'm a little bit afraid because I live on a fixed income, they want me to attach my bank account
Ooh.
to pirate ship.
Oh yeah.
I wanted to use the card, the PayPal, and it wouldn't let me.
Yeah,
it wouldn't let me. So I'm kind of like, I'm still at the mercy of the post office.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
No, I had a falling out with PayPal and eBay a couple of years ago. I wanted an auction on a computer, and come to find out it was a scam. And eBay told me it was a scam. Then when I went to get the money back from Amazon or PayPal, they're like, "Oh no, sorry, you can't prove it's a scam." I said, "Here's the email from Amazon or eBay saying it's a scam. No, we're not getting you back your money." So I lost like $900.
Wow.
I shut both accounts. I haven't used either one since.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I had the same thing happen with my last suit. Fortunately, I found a guy in Roanoke, Virginia, that had the identical suit but the right size. So we just switched.
Oh, there you go.
Because they weren't getting. I was going to be out $700, and I'm glad that worked out okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, guys, I gotta go and start my life.
Okay.
Before Dale goes, where is he? Catch you guys later.
Catch you later. Yeah.
I'll see you over there when I get done with this.
You bet. Pleasure meeting you, Rob.
Pleasure meeting you as well, sir.
If anybody else wants to come up and talk to us, you can.
Trish, I still use Amazon, things like that, to buy online because, number one, we're limited on resources up here where we can go to buy certain things, and sometimes Amazon's just easier to buy things from because it'll get shipped right to our PO box. And we have a friend in town that'll go to our PO box and drop it all onto the train for us. And she actually works for the train, so it works out for our behalf on that. And we trade off. If any of you guys watch my channel, I do a lot of cooking, and I'll bake cakes, things like that, and bring them down to her and the other workers for the train. Got to butter them up so you can get things you need. Mike, we use a wood-fired cook stove for heat. You can see it in two or three of my videos. The kitchen walkthrough, the lasagna one, and the chimney fire video. You can see them in there. It's a hell of a wood-fired cook stove. It's a beast. It's probably one of the bigger ones you'll find, modern ones. There are some older ones that are a little bit bigger, but this one is nice. And that had to be delivered by a big helicopter because it's 1,000 pounds. And let me tell you, it wasn't fun. And I got it in the house by myself, just with Sarah and the neighbor that lives like 3 miles away guiding it in. And I put it in there. It's a beast. We love it. Shipping is too expensive to buy from Northern Hemisphere, Amazon, etc. Yeah. Do you guys have Amazon down there at all? They don't have any distributions down that way in New Zealand?
Hi, Victoria. Victoria of Quiet Listener has come in.
Yeah.
Thank you, everybody, for coming and supporting me and Rob, getting to know him.
Thank you very much for showing up.
You know, that's why I kind of figured, trying to, when I have videos of making hats that are over 2 hours of me just sitting there and making a hat, and I haven't uploaded those videos. I guess I could probably do one as a premiere, just to put some content on my channel, but I'd rather do this.
The personal is much better.
It's more personal.
Yes. That's why, we were doing the videos for a while before we actually decided to start doing lives. We used to do our lives on Friday night, and then I was finding a lot of my subs either going out or doing things on the weekends with their family, so they weren't able to watch. We have a number of subscribers from the South Pacific, the islands. We have some from Australia, places like that, they're like, well, our time zone is a little different, but it's a weekend for us, so one of them might be out doing something, so they're not able to always catch the videos. That's when we switched it over to Monday nights after Miss Alone stopped doing her lives on Mondays. So we took over. Then our friends Adam and Phyllis decided they want to start doing lives on their channel. Last year, cut the cord. So that's when we decided, we'll do our live from 4 to 5:45, and at 5:45 they hop on and take over, onto their live. So it worked out really good for us. And it gets us in touch with a lot of people, and it's helped the channel quite a bit. I mean, we had most of our live streams, like most people, small channels like us, because we've got under 420 subs. Our average watches are maybe 100 to 200 views. And the first time they were up here at the house, we did a live. We actually had that video went what I call viral for us. It had over 2,000 views on it. Which was kind of strange because we haven't been able to replicate that at all. We've tried multiple times and it just don't happen. Hey, Mona did what?
Mona did what? Yeah. I love her channel name. I just kind of popped her up there to show people that she'd come in and say hi while you were talking. And
yep, I think she actually just recently joined my channel.
She does some awesome quilt blocks.
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna get a drink. My throat's starting to get a little dry.
Okay. But I know we
my brother.
we enjoy doing the lives. Gets us in touch with people that we don't usually talk to. I haven't done any guest panels on ours except for once, and that was with David when we were having the chicken coop build off a couple months back. That was the only time we did collab like what we're doing here. But eventually I'll start trying to bring other people on to see if it helps, all of us.
So how do you deal with the chickens during the winter and keeping their water from freezing?
We bring the water in every night, and we'll go out and check today. I've got to pick up another waterer in town. We have one that is electric, so we can plug it in, but this is a new coop, so I've got to run wiring out there still. And once I do that, then I have one I can plug into, but it's only good down to about 10 below. Then it'll start freezing up.
Oh, okay.
A lot of people worry, the chickens are going to freeze. Chickens are actually dang good until about 30 below. People don't realize they're pretty hardy little birds. They just get all fluffy looking and they just sit there. I've got to set up where they can go in and out whenever they want. And in the dead of winter, when it's really cold, I'll cover up the hole for them to go in and out. And everybody's like, well, you should cover that up for the bears. I said, if a bear's getting in there, the bear's getting in there, and a little hole isn't going to stop them. And where it's situated, if a bear comes and he's trying to get in there, Zeus will hear him, and then I'll hear him, and then I've got a new carpet.
So does the Iditarod come close to where your place is or not?
No. That's more that I think the starting point is in Willow, which is where Adam and Phyllis live. So it's about probably about 30 miles south of Talkeetna, 40 miles south of Talkeetna. So about 50 or 60 miles south of where we're at. I still haven't made it to any of those. I'm actually got it set up where in January I will go into town. There a place that we stay every now and then when I'm in town is the Alaskan Dog Center. He has slug set it up so he can do dog sled tours. So I'm going to go in January, kind of do an interview with him and go for a dog sled ride.
Oh, wow.
Film all that and put that onto our channel as well. But he's a really good guy. He's got multiple Airbnbs. He's a forestry firefighter. So he's a really interesting guy.
That'd be neat.
Yeah.
To see that.
I've never been on it. I've seen him, been around it, but just never been on one. So it'd be something fun and unique to try, which is what I want to do. You know, we were hoping to do a little bit more traveling this year. We did not really do any traveling this year. Our version of traveling was going down to Anchorage, which I don't like. So
the only time that I've ever been in Canada is when my family, my parents and us children lived in Washington State.
Right.
And we went up to Vancouver.
Oh,
you know, up to the what is that? What is that place? It had a garden. We went there.
I lost connection for a second. What did it have?
It was some kind of flower garden that we went to.
Oh, oh God, I've been there. I can't think of the name of it now. It's been 30 years since I've been in Vancouver.
Yeah, so that was off of out of Washington that we went there.
Stanley Park. Danielle just put that up there.
Yes, yes.
Yeah,
it's been a while since we were there. I was a teenager at that time.
Yeah.
When we went there and stuff. So.
Yep. You're right, Trish. It is hard to do a live off a cell phone. I have done it, and it's not fun because it chats like this big. Somebody says bush chart. Bush card.
Bush garden, yes.
Yeah, it's Stanley Park Botanical Gardens. I believe that's the one I went to. It's like the one place I was sad when we left Florida, I'd never made it to was the Japanese gardens over by Miami, the Murakami Gardens. I always wanted to see it. Tried to go there multiple times. Every time I tried to go there, something would happen. I wouldn't be able to go.
But, Danielle, trying to see everybody that's in here. Thank you for coming.
Southwest Ontario. How far are you from Fort Erie, Stevensville area? That's where I was for a little while. A friend of mine, the story behind that is a friend of mine had a horse farm there, thoroughbreds, and he got sick, and I went to help the family take care of the horse farm for a winter. And I stayed on the farm. It was nice. And it was kind of isolated there, but it wasn't too bad. At least there was roads.
Wow.
Yeah. Anybody have any questions?
In Southwest Ontario, Canada. Thank you for coming.
Hopefully I just didn't lose internet because I just had a power surge. The generator every now and then as something kicks in, like I got the two freezers, they both kick in at the same time. I lose satellite. Let me just check it. Nope, we're okay.
So she's in Detroit border city living. Okay. Danielle, if you want to drop your link in my chat, type the word yarn and it will drop your link. I wish I could show you guys something. We got this cat tree that our little small cat has got all 4 feet on the top of that post. I'm like, oh my gosh, Gigi.
Yeah, that's the one thing we don't have.
Thank you, Nancy, for being here.
I'd be afraid to have cats up here because of all the birds and stuff like that outside. You know, we got a lot of owls and eagles.
Hi, Karen. Karen Evans is in here.
Yep.
It is so great to see all of you here. And
it is.
And I'm only at an hour and 24 minutes and working on the hat now. Because usually it's It's an hour on the band and an hour on the hat, but man, I've gotten quick.
Yeah, okay, we're back. It just sent me a notification. It dropped signal, but it's back, so I'm happy.
Yeah.
Hey, Madwood BBQ.
Hi, Madwood. Thank you for coming.
Well, you get all the food people on, all the barbecue people on here. Now I'm gonna get hungry.
Well, everybody has a head and needs a warm hat.
Yes, this is true.
You know,
Very
even
true.
if they are in Texas, it does get cold there.
Yep, that it does. I lived in Nevada for a couple months in the wintertime, and I was really surprised how cold it got in the desert.
It does. Once that sun goes down, it does get cold because our family also lived in Utah.
Yep.
And it's mainly, not all of it's desert, but it is desert.
Yep.
And yes, we had to wear jackets and stuff like that. So great having you all here, my friends.
Yeah,
it really is.
Somebody just asked me a question. I lost where it went. Let me see. No, Danielle. No. We have had snow. It's stuck around for about a day and a half, and it disappeared. It's been too warm. It's actually predicted to be 50 degrees here today, and when I get up this morning, it was already 44, and that was before the sun came up. So no snow really stick probably for about another week or so. We're supposed to be getting 2.5 to 3 inches next Thursday. In the meantime, it's going to be around this temperature, 45 to 50 for the next 3 or 4 days. And then it's supposed to start dropping back down into the mid-low 30s, which is my comfort zone. I like that temperature. I handle down to about -5 with just this sweater on or sweater like it and a light jacket with thermals and jeans. After that, I got to put on some snow pants after that, but not heavy. I don't like the heat. I like the nice cool. There are fish in the Susitna River. They're just Alaska's laws for fishing are very strange. In our area, if you're west or east of the highway, you cannot fish in the river, or you can fish, but you can't keep, unless it's in one of the offshoots of the river, which we do have up here. So we'd have to go up and do one of the side creeks to fish. Their system is really strange. We haven't figured that out yet. And you got to check regulations almost daily, because if it changes and you don't know, they don't care. If you got like silver salmon went from 2 salmon a day down to 1 within an hour. So if you were out fishing and all of a sudden it changes and it put out an emergency notification, and then all of a sudden fish and game show up, you've got 2 and you're only supposed to have 1, you're getting a fine. You could lose your fishing license. They could take your vehicle. So it's really important to pay attention to the regs up here. Have you been napping,
Yep.
Zeus?
If you want to drop your links or drop your weather, type yarn to drop your link, and weather and your zip code or your city and state, and it'll drop your links for you.
Yep. Danielle, I'm about 13, 14 miles north of the town of Talkeetna, Alaska. And that is the river that's here is the Susitna River.
Wow.
I'm gonna find out about that Nightbot. I like that kind of thing. That's kind of neat.
It is, because it leaves my mods to be able to watch my chat. That's what I want them to do is the mods that I have. I want them to keep an eye on my chat to see if there's someone that's spamming me and stuff like that. That's why I have them.
Now you said something about weather. You could type something in and see weather.
Weather and if you want to do your zip code, well, you could probably do Talkeetna, because I don't think there's another name like that. It's like it's mine because I'm in Columbia. There is other states with Columbia. That's why I do my zip code.
So you just type in the zip code?
Yes, you can.
And that's it?
Weather, you put weather first.
Okay, hang on.
And then zip code. You have to type weather first. I don't know how far it is apart, between. If it doesn't drop it, then try it again.
Nope, it's got it. Sunny
You got
with
it?
temperature 46 degrees, 8 Celsius. Wind is blowing from the north-northeast at 6 to 10, or 10 kilometers. Current humidity 50. Wow, that's kind of interesting. I like that. I might have to look into how to use Nightbot. That'd make it a lot easier. But like you said, that's I moderate for a few people. You know, Scott from Rambling with the Brums on occasion. Adam and Phyllis, of course, I think I'm the only moderator they have, and Alone in Remote Alaska. You know, and usually when I'm doing lives with them or moderating for them, I never have time to really read the chats. I'm too busy helping posting links and stuff like that. Something like that would make it a heck of a lot easier. I know Alone does use StreamYard. I'll have to explain that to her. That's just really neat.
It's making sure that you have someone that you trust
Yes.
to be your admin on there, that if something were to happen, I had Devil Dog, and I'm probably going to go back and send that link to Jesse at Lazy Days Ahead, or somebody else that knows enough about that to be able to help if something were to happen.
Yeah, because I know being a moderator for Alone, you know, she always gets, I mean, not always, but every now and then she gets some creepers that come into the page. And even though, because she uses StreamYard, I've deleted them off the YouTube chat, she still sees them. So there's been problems like that, you know, and then she doesn't always read everything. She just starts reading, and then it's something that's kind of pervy. And of course that upsets her, and she bans them from the channel, of course, which I would too. You know, I've been lucky. I've never had to deal with too many people like that. I've had to ban a few people on my YouTube for leaving nasty comments that were totally uncalled for and being insultive. But it's usually foreigners not thinking I'd understand a language. You know, Google Translate's a great thing. Daniel says, "You really have an inn? How far north again?" We're about 13 miles north of Talkeetna, and we have 2 cabins we will be doing as Airbnb starting around January 1st. I've got a little bit of, well, one cabin definitely January 1st, but I've got some stuff I've got to do to the other cabin, which is just a 1-room dry cabin that does have a sink in it and a stove and a bed. But the other cabin, if you check out our channel, you'll see me doing the posts and stuff like that. So you'll see how some of it is, but it's quite a nice cabin. It's about 870, 900 square foot cabin, and it's got propane stove in it. It's got hot water, you know, running water, and it will have refrigeration in it soon too. But it's quite nice, and we're not going to go astronomical through the roof like a lot of these places are. There's a few places that do Airbnbs out here in the bush. One of them is you get basically a 1-room cabin that is not very airtight and no windows. It's just got open doors, and if you want it, or open windows, and if you want to shut it so no light gets in, you just put the shutters closed that are made out of wood logs.
Robert Mac Media came in, and I'm doing great. I'm making a hat for Rob right now.
Hello, Robert. But that cabin is like $500 a night. Then there's another guy further north that it's a 5-mile hike through the woods on a trail under a heavy armored guard due to the bears. Your cabin is, I think it's 8 by 10 with a bucket for water, and that's like $500 a night. And he's booked out all the time. We're not going to go that high. That's just, I want everybody to be able to experience what we have. So our price is going to be a lot lower.
Thank you, Mona, so much.
Danielle, the travelers says travelers are not allowed to hunt, right? How do you get to the cabin? The only way you're getting to our cabin is by the Alaskan Railroad. That's the only way you can get out here. We are remote. And no, you can hunt in Alaska. You have to have immediate family members to not have to hire a guide. And if you do not, you have to hire a guide. And if you have to hire a guide, you better have deep pockets. It is not cheap. We did not hunt the first year here because you're officially not an Alaskan resident for hunting purposes for 1 full year, because they were having problems with people coming up, getting their fishing license and hunting license for cheap. You know, they'd switch their IDs out. They'd fish for a couple of weeks, go home, get their IDs redone back down there, and they'll save themselves hundreds of dollars, because a non-resident hunting license up here, just the hunting license for like a moose, is $1,000 for non-resident. and then you have to hire a guide. So not doing that. Our first year we did not hunt, except for grouse, things like that. Now my hunt license is $45 a year, so it's a big difference, and not always accessible for some folks that just want to come up hunting unless they get deep pockets. Yeah, the prices are out of reach, and if you have to hire a guide can run anywhere from $5,000 to $40,000 depending on where you're going hunting.
That is a lot of money.
It is. And
I know there was this one time this guy came from, I think it was Texas, and wanted to get a polar bear. And this guide, that was from in Canada, and it had to be a polar bear. And this guide was in trouble, and he was also, because it wasn't a full polar bear. It had some
grizzly bear.
It was grizzly and polar mixed.
We call them pizzly bears.
He almost went to prison because of it. They had put on this show, and his guide almost gotten put into prison also. But when they did the DNA test, they found out that it did have polar bear in it.
Pizzly bear is a new type of breed, so they don't know what to do with it yet. We have them here in Alaska, but that's way north of here. We get, like I was telling you earlier, we get the browns and the brown bears, grizzly bear, or the black bears in this area. I think the nearest polar bear is a couple 100 miles north of yet. I have no desire to hunt a polar bear. I wouldn't trust one. Everybody's like, well, you got to worry about the bears up where you're at. No, you really got to worry about the moose. I trust a bear over a moose. A bear will, you can scare a bear off, which we have done multiple times. When they're right in front of you, you can charge at them, shoot at them, they'll run away generally. A moose would just rather turn you into mud puddles. They don't care. They've always got an attitude. They're always in a cranky mood, and they don't like anybody but themselves. So I don't trust a moose. We had one in Talkeetna last year. They called it the Mad Moose on Easy Street. She'd walk up to him, just what are you going to do? You going to come out? Are you going to come out or what? I want to stomp you. And he'd back off and walk away. As soon as you open that door, what are you doing? So it's like, ooh. So people resorted to carrying firecrackers with them. And anytime you get close, they're throwing firecrackers off of them. Problem is with that desensitizes them to gunshots and firecrackers. So I think it finally wandered off about halfway through the winter. So it's like, the critters you don't want to mess with. I don't know. Did you see my? Oh no, I haven't put that video out. On my Facebook, I posted it. We had a small pack of wolves come by the house about, what's today? Today's what, the 14th or 15th?
Today's the 16th.
16th. We had a pack of wolves come by the house about 5 days ago. And wow. I've got big hands. I can palm a basketball. And one pad was the size of my palm, with my hand closed like that. So they're big dogs. And somebody was trying to tell me they're coyotes. I'm like, that's not a coyote.
That's not a coyote.
Way too big to be a coyote. And coyotes generally, they do travel in packs. They hunt in packs. But they don't, this time of year, they're more solitary. It's the wintertime is when they get together. This was a wolf pack because they're running 2 by 2. So, and we've had them around the house. They get within about a half mile of the house. And we're hoping they don't get any closer because I'd hate to have to put one down. I don't like doing that, but I've got to protect Sarah, myself, and the chickens and Zeus. Not necessarily in that order.
So how do you plant any garden?
Yep. That'll be the harvest will be the video coming out this Friday on that. We didn't have a huge garden. The property here, unfortunately, Jim when he was clearing land, just dropped trees. If he didn't want to use a tree, he dropped it and left it. And there's logs laying everywhere. So I've got to get a tractor and go through and really clean up the property to make it so it's farmable. We have a greenhouse that is on top of our barn. Our barn is 2 stories, and half the second floor is a greenhouse. And if you look at my channel, there are some videos of us having to repair that this summer from the windstorm. Last winter and the winter before destroyed it. So we did get some stuff, not enough to really can. We do have some things in the freezer. We got some green beans, some snow peas. I did can up some tomatoes. Potatoes did not do much this year. Last year, we actually planted less potatoes and got more potatoes in return compared to this year. This year, the potato patch was overflowing and it just didn't produce. I got maybe 5 to 10 pounds of potatoes.
Danielle asked where I'm at. I'm in the United States, in the state of Missouri, which is kind of in the middle of the United States. That's where I'm at. If you look at my avatar, it has it where I'm in. I'm in the state of Missouri.
Yeah.
And if I think I'm right in the middle. I think I'm right in the middle of the state.
Yep. Trish, I think you see the video of the roo trying to drown the dog. That was bad. Kangaroo. Everybody laughs. I've eaten kangaroo, and it's actually not bad. There's a place in the Bahamas that make kangaroo burgers, and also one down in Cabo San Lucas, and it's actually pretty good. But yeah, no, I never like seeing other animals getting hurt. I mean, I do hunt, yes, but I'm very selective on hunting. If I hunt for food, I don't hunt for sport. I refuse to hunt for sport. I'm not looking for a trophy. I mean, where am I going to put a trophy? I live in the middle of Alaska. Why would I want antlers hanging around my house? I do have them here, but they were here.
Wow.
Those kangaroos.
Pretty good.
What's that?
I'm already doing the second row of 5. How I end up counting this is I do 28 for the men's hats.
Uh-huh.
I've only got, let's see, 8 more to go.
Oh, wow. You're just flipping through it, girl.
I'm just really, this is the fastest I've ever gone.
Yeah.
And getting a hat done.
If anybody's had any questions, please, come back and
ask any questions.
I don't always see everything that's up on the side. Like I said, I'm looking up here and not here because I got the TV up there so I can actually read you guys' comment and sit back and relax. Otherwise, I'm sitting like this, and by the end of the session, my back's gonna be hurting, and I've got 2 more lives to do today. For those interested, my live is at 4:00 Alaskan Standard Time, so it's 8:00 Eastern Time tonight. If anybody's interested,
So that would be 6 my time.
I think so. You're what? What time is it where you're at?
I'm 3:30.
You're 3:30?
Yeah.
So we're
3:30.
We're 12:30 right now. So we're 3 hours behind you.
3 hours. Yeah. That's what I was thinking, because my sister lives in Washington and she's 2 hours behind.
Daniel says, that's my Facebook name. Stop trophy hunting. Yeah, I don't like trophy hunting.
It's about
an animal. You use the animal, every part of that animal. I'm old school. I do have Native American blood in me. I believe in using every bit of that animal as possible.
I kind of feel the same way. If not that I tried hunting, but I shot at a doe to feed my family. I wasn't able to hit her, but I tried. Yeah. I honestly don't think I could end up doing that. My parents, my mother, which was really nice of her, she took me over to where there was a egg farm that they were getting rid of some of the older chickens.
Yeah.
And they put them in this big pot over a wood fire. The chickens were put in there, and you would pull one out and you would pluck it.
Yep.
So I learned how to do that, and there was one time that I pulled one of the chickens out, and they the head was still attached a little bit, and I went, Mom. She pulled it off. It was like,
Yeah.
but it does not bother me after someone has harvested that animal. I can dress it. I have no problem doing that, but taking its life, I can't.
Yeah, no, it's not for everybody. You see,
You know,
says, why don't you live far north Alaska? Are you city fried? We are actually remote. It's the nearest city to us is 60 miles away. The nearest road is 14 miles away. Only one way in, one way out, and that's by, well, there's a couple ways. You can use helicopter, or really the only way in and out is by the train. So, and if it's 4:30 your time, and are you 4:30 a.m. or p.m. right now? I think you're p.m. because you're in. No, that's Trish. It's 9:30 a.m. So I think that's gonna be like 1 your time, Trish. It's about 4 hours from now, 3.5 hours, something like that. If you go to my YouTube, you can see where the live coming up at 4 o'clock my time is, and it'll give you an idea of what time it's going to start on your time.
It'll say when you go in there, it'll say your time that is going live.
Yeah.
Hi, Granny, filming again. It's so nice to see you.
Danielle, it's 12:30. You must be on the West Coast, Danielle. So it's 12:30 there. So yeah, it's 12:30 my time as well. So in 3 hours or 3.5 hours would be my live. Yeah, chickens are a tough job. We had 200 to 300 of them on our farm. We had broilers and we had hens that laid eggs. I mean, it's nice to meet you, Granny, filming again.
Yeah, Granny filming again. She's got a great channel. She really does.
Oh, she's doing it in Ontario, so it's 12:30 your time now. Okay, that my clocks are wrong. I know. I saw
Danielle's in Michigan, Ontario.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
She's in Ontario, so.
All right. Because
I think this is the first time I've seen her in my chat. You know, sometimes it pays not to put, subscriber only, even though it could set you up for bots, for spammers and stuff. But
I always have it open to everybody, because if people come in, they come in. If they want to cause problems, I just boot them.
Yep.
I've had to do that before. And I like it nice and relaxed. I like to be able to chat about whatever. If somebody takes offense to it, that's serious. I just don't talk about politics, religion, or women. Nope. Yeah, I'm new. Met you during the Alaska Cut the Cord. Is that what you're saying?
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Phyllis are good friends of ours. We actually hang out with Adam and Phyllis when we're in town. They're really good people. So they're good folks to watch, and they'll be following us at 5:45 tonight with their live as well.
I know Gillum Farms is. I'm gonna get with Johnny and making his hat, and getting with his wife Christine is going to be a little bit harder. That's why I kind of do these lives. It's just, to me, it's more personal.
Yes, it is.
You're literally watching me make your hat.
I know.
Look at this thing. Look at this thing. This is beautiful.
That thing is going to be so warm.
It is. Yeah,
it's, we were skeptical at first about doing lives, but then we started getting into it, and then Adam and Phyllis were like, well, we wouldn't mind. How do we do it? So we walked them through all doing it as well, and they started doing their lives, and they're actually doing better with their lives than us. But they've also got a much larger channel too. I think they've got like 2,000 subs, or close to 2,000 subs, where I've only got 4 something. And it's probably actually gone up a little bit by now, because I know a few folks here said they were joining.
I only have 6 more rows to go on your hat.
Oh my! Oh, we're 424. Thank you guys. I appreciate you guys coming over and subbing.
How many thumbs up do I have? Because I don't have my YouTube side popped up.
No. Let's see.
I know I've got 16 people in here. which I'm grateful for all of you.
Let's show a 16th. Oh, wait, no. Where is it? 9 thumbs up. Come on, give her thumbs up, guys.
Come on, please. Give me some thumbs up.
Maybe actually let me refresh because it could be old. Yeah, it's guys. You got 31 thumbs up. All
wow.
right.
That is great. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. It says 32. Beverly says 32.
About to lose my hair tie out the back, so I got to take that off for a minute.
I know there has been some people that have asked, how many hats have I made? On the YouTube side, I am not sure, but before I started my journey on YouTube and gifting people hats, in my brain, it's saying that I probably have done over 2,000.
Oh my.
Hats, because a church I don't go to anymore, they had this thing where I learned how to do this as like a humanitarian day. And I also made newborn baby hats, which are nothing, where they're going to the hospitals. That's where I get into that over 2,000 hats.
Right. That was
that
sweet.
I have,
babies.
That I have made. Some of them went overseas for people that were in other countries.
Right.
That's how I learned how to make these. And then they did when we first started learning how to do this, they used to take them off of in a different way. And you would cut the yarn and use a yarn needle to feed that yarn through, and then you'd have a section left over.
Oh.
We now do it differently, where we make a loop and hook this over.
Okay.
And then so you've got 2 rows in there, and then you cut off the end, and then you're able to not waste as much.
Oh, very nice.
So it definitely makes me happy that I learned a different way to taking it off.
Right.
Yes, I have done a lot for YouTubers. I started marking them down in a little book that I have to know how many I do in a year. It's absolutely amazing how many hats I've done.
Right. I'm just looking back to see if I missed any questions. Danielle, I was new last week because I always look up Alaska stuff. You came in my feed. Well, I'm glad you did. We're always happy to see new folks here.
Definitely.
And our content isn't the best produced like some of the other Alaskan channels, some of the other big channels, but we're less than a year old, and I'm relearning all kinds of editing software, so it's not fun for me. Like I was saying earlier, I was a journalist for a little while. Started off as a photog, and then I started getting my own columns and stuff like that. So I'm a little finicky on what I use for editing software. And then when I got up here and I couldn't afford to buy my Adobe Master Suites again, I had to switch over to other things. So I'm still learning.
Thank you, Mona, for coming. She's got to go.
Bye, Mona. Good to see you in here.
Thank you for being here.
Yarn is $4 a ball there. Oof.
The yarn that I have here is one that I was able to pick up at Joann's, and it cost me almost $4. There's some of them that I buy that are a pound of yarn that could cost me around 11. But if you think about having this ball of yarn that's 200 and some odd, let me see here. This is 228 yards. With the pattern that they want you to use, you make 1 hat. With this ball of yarn, I can almost make 3 hats.
Oh, wow.
Out of this one, because of using this.
Yes. Very nice. Granny filming again. I'm from central New Hampshire.
Yeah. How much yarn will the Santa hat take to make? It will take a little bit less than what that skein of yarn that I have for it. And I don't know what the cost of it was because it was in sometimes a lot of my yarn comes from Facebook Marketplace.
Yep.
And I haven't bought any of the Lion brand that much. So it'll pretty much take that whole skein that I have, but I'll probably make it a little bit shorter maybe, because if you've seen Skipper's, it's pretty long.
Yeah.
And I've got to take that into consideration in that the one that's the homespun, it's a little bit different, but I have that skein already,
Right.
10 years ago. Let me pop this out. I can
Sure.
read this better.
Right. Part of my family's from Derry, part of it's from Laconia, parts from Hillsborough. So we were all over the place.
A lot of people do know this, but I was born in Southern California. My parents left when I was 2 years old, so I don't remember anything of being in California. My older siblings do. And we moved to Utah. I just found I've got to retie this. I don't like the way they tie them. They kind of loop it around, and I don't really like the way they do this. So I'm going to tie this the way that I tie it.
No, I don't know about that anymore, Granny. I haven't been. Last time I was in Derry was in 2004. From the time when I was a kid, the town only had 7,000 people in it. Now it's like 30,000. So it's probably not like what I remember. We were a farming community back then.
There we go.
Somebody's he's trying to butt in on the camera.
Oh. Well, when I seen the white blaze, it made me think border collie.
Yeah. He's actually even big for an Aussie. He's about 70 something pounds.
Oh.
And he's pure blood. He's just a big old boy. He likes to eat and he likes to run. It's funny, the first winter here, he had never seen snow before. He's a Florida dog. He spotted the snow. He looked at it and came right back in the house. And I had to encourage him to go because he did not want to touch the snow. Now he loves it. He'll go out and he'll lay there, roll around in it, and he'll sit there and play with it. And
I think
springtime, he goes.
Danielle asked you a question. I think he works off the land. That's what I'm thinking.
There's no way for me to have a job here. I can't get in and out of town. The train runs north in the morning and south in the afternoon. So I'd have to be in for weeks at a time if I was going to work a job, and that's not happening. Sarah would beat me silly. We try not to leave her up here by herself too much in the summertime because of the issues with the bears. She can take care of her own with shooting, but we'd rather not have her risk it. So
I guess that's kind of why you're going to do the Airbnb.
Yes, I retired too early. I retired at 48.
Oh, I didn't see her question. Let me find crochet, Rob. Rebecca didn't see my question. Let me.
You talking about Danielle?
No, it's crochet around New Zealand.
Oh, okay.
I'm going back and see if I can find it.
Oh, yeah, please. Or ask him again.
No, I don't have a tutorial on doing these hats, but I will let you guys know something with oh gosh, now I got to think of her name. Homestead in the Wood with D. If one of my mods want to drop her link, that would be great. Her and I are going to go live on a Sunday, and I'm going to go through the list of what you're going to need to have. And I'm coming up on her live and showing people how to make these hats.
Good.
Which will definitely be really good. And at that time, I will be having 2 cameras, so it'll make it a whole lot easier. So I will be using OBS to do that.
I tried that one yet. I've been wanting to.
My brother installed it, and I didn't realize that he had. So he's going to help me to know how to end up doing that, so that you guys will get an up close look at how you wind that yarn around. You definitely don't want it too tight, but you don't want it too loose that it falls off the peg.
Right.
But yeah, we will definitely be teaching people how to make these.
Good. No, Danielle, I don't have sled dogs. Maybe in the future, sled dogs take a lot of work and a lot of food. Just a dog.
And you would have to don't they feed them a lot of salmon?
Yes, they do. We have what they call a dog salmon up here, so it's a salmon that a lot of people don't like to eat, so that's what they usually get to eat. But I'm not a believer of really keeping dogs outside in the wintertime, and 99% of the dog sled mushers keep the dogs outside, and I just have a hard time with that. I know if I was a dog, I wouldn't want to be out there when it's blowing 35 degrees negative. It's just too cold.
I know there is lots of people that do the tutorials on these, but some of those channels are like 10 years old, where they're not doing this anymore. Because my thing would be like, it would be 2 hours of me working on one hat, and I don't know how to edit. I don't know how to speed it up and things like that.
Right. It takes time. I'm like I said, I'm relearning everything with the new software that I'm using. I used to use Final Cut Pro and then the Adobe stuff, but now I'm using DaVinci Resolve. Let me see. I see somebody else who has something here. Oh, graining. I can never retire too early. I was forced to. It's either I continue working down in Florida in the sun and dying a heat stroke, or retiring early. So I retired early. None of my investments will really come mature until I'm older, but we're lucky where we do have some income coming in where we can support ourselves up here. And then once they have the Airbnb or the end going, that'll all go back into the property itself, and some will go into my pocket, but just not a lot. We're just firm believers of when you have business, you keep putting the money back into the business until you grow to what you want. And there's 2 or 3 properties up here that we want to purchase. We only have one property that actually touches us. The rest of it is all state land. So we want to grab that one that's next to us and 1 or 2 others, and just build little cabins on it for guests and for doing other things. Like this one that's up on top of a hill I'd love to get my hands on and put all my solar panels and wind generators up there and have it as like a substation for power, because we don't get a lot of wind where we're at. Normally, like today, we're getting 10 mile an hour winds. I could have a wind generator running, but I don't have one set up yet. So
2 more rows and I will be done.
Wow. And it's only taken you 2 hours and 3 minutes.
It's like I'm getting faster at doing this. And
you are. And I've just been chitter chattering, so. and it's good. This is a much more relaxed style of doing it, even compared to what I do. I thought I was relaxed. This is a lot more relaxed. See, mine, I'm always get so many questions. I'm always trying to look at it, and I lose track where I'm at, and I lose myself. And that's why I never really have a subject when I go on from my lodge, because I know the subject's gonna go, But if anybody does have questions, you can feel free to ask me.
Yeah. I need to try to do a tutorial, and figure out, with the software. I have an iPad that I usually use to do my recording when I did do recording.
Right.
And doing something like that.
I've just never seen it done with it that way. So it's kind of why I'm watching over there to see what you're doing.
Well, you're basically, what they call this pattern is this E. They call it an E wrap.
Okay.
There's also where it's a little more tedious if you're doing like a ribbed, where it would be a knit with with a purl.
Right.
Because when you look at the hat the way I'm doing it here, it makes it a lot easier, because when you're doing these, there will be some people that will wrap a few and then they will not get every single peg, and
Right.
then you've got to drop stitch, because I go all the way around. I don't start hooking them over until I have each one of these pegs covered.
Right.
And that's what I've talked to people about when I'm doing these, is make sure you wrap it all the way around. And I always check before I start hooking them over.
Right. Well, it makes sense. I mean, you want to make
to make sure that it's covered on the front side.
Right.
But when you get this hat, if you've ever seen knitting and purling, you will notice that the knit is on the outside.
Okay.
The pearls will be on the inside.
Okay.
So then you'll know which way your hat is supposed to be. Because if you look at this, you see the V's?
Yep.
That's a knit. That's the knit side. And then if you look on the inside, you'll see the bumps.
Yep.
That's the purl side. So I'm going to make sure I'm going to count this to make sure I have, this will be number 28 row. 2, 3,
wow.
4, 5.
Thank you, Rushing Wind Mountain.
9, 10.
I try to have a good heart. I try to make sure everything's done right, the right way. You got to do things the right way to make sure everything stays the right way.
Yes, one more row and this will be done.
Wow. See, this is where I'm curious to see how you close it. I haven't watched anybody knit since I was a kid. My grandmother used to knit, but she was the old style. So it's kind of why I'm focused.
The thing that's really nice about this is it closes up really nice.
Right.
On the top. What I'm going to end up doing is I'm going to move my phone, and yes, I've got some Post-it notes that I have stuck on the desk here. Yeah, that's Gillum Farms. In fact, I
was watching them. They were doing their live the other night from what was they, Pinecone? Is that where they went? Yeah, and then they had Bill and stuff like that on there. Those that don't know, Bill is Alaska's Last Frontier Homestead. He's another local friend of ours that does YouTube as well. He's an interesting gentleman.
But I think it was him that there was somebody, no, it was at the Ozark meetup that I surprised somebody by making their hat while I was at the Ozark meetup.
Yeah. I think you have made Bill a hat. I think did you make his hat when you were?
Yes, I did. I had to end up shipping it to him because
I think that was at the Mid America meetup, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Now I did one with him on a live, I think.
Oh, I'll have to go back and look for that one.
Well, I will show you now how I do this. Is I take that yarn that I have on this peg.
Yeah. No, is that your?
I'm going to point that camera down. But what I do is I loop this a little bit shorter. Let me see if I can do this so you guys can see what I'm doing. I take this and I put it over and I pull it back. So I've got my finger behind here and I pull that taunt and I pull that over. Then I take it off. Can you guys see that?
And it's closing it up.
And it's closing it up. It's basically just removing each one of these off and closing it up. And then you pull it together.
Huh.
So that's what's going to be nice about having the other camera on OBS.
Yeah.
Where people are going to be able to watch me do this.
Right.
Now, most people don't realize how many pegs are on this. There's 48.
Oh, wow.
So I have 48 pegs that I have to put that loop over and take off.
Nice.
But yeah, I'm just going to sit here and have my camera down where you guys can watch me do this.
It's kind of like when I used to do my videos for the air gun or the outdoor gear reviews. I had a camera. I'll have to post a video on the community page about my old setup. But I had a camera hanging down from the top. I had lights everywhere, and that way I could do picture in picture. But when I'm live, it's a lot different. So yeah, you definitely got to use some kind of software. Now that OBS, that's a open software system, isn't it? Where anybody can use it.
Correct.
Okay, I'm gonna have to look into that one.
You know, because what I'll probably have is either this camera here,
right,
or the other one that I have up on the shelf to be pointing down,
right,
to where I'm taking that hat off so that people can see what I'm doing. You see what just happened? That peg, I've got to glue that peg back in because I've been using this thing so much. There we go. Put that peg back in that hole. So I've got to put some glue in there.
A little bit of CA glue, super glue.
Yes. You know, so they definitely stay in here. I did something. I don't know if you guys can see this mark here. It looks a little bit different. That's my halfway mark.
Mm.
So I put that on there so I could see when my halfway is. This is working out pretty good. You guys are able to see this? Okay, right?
Yeah.
You know, it just you see how it's just gathering that hat up?
Yep.
As I go along.
Now you're sliding them all over the same one set, right?
Yes.
Okay. That's what I thought. I've never been too craftsy, but I always enjoyed watching it. Sarah does a lot of different stuff, and she's really good. She makes down in Florida. She used to make her own paper and stuff like that, and she made some really nice paper vases. I mean, she's done clay. She's done all kinds of stuff, and she's an extremely talented woman. The only thing I did that was kind of artsy like that was I did glass blowing for a while. Never got good at it. I mostly did pendants and stuff like that, little jewelry pieces.
I love going and watching people make wood into art. I feel that it's art. Doing turning on a lathe.
Yep, that's
and stuff like that. It fascinates me.
Yep. Well, you know, our barn is 2 stories, and the part that's under the roof part, not the greenhouse part, I'm actually setting up as my wood turning studio because I do have a lathe up here. I just haven't used it in a couple of years.
Wow.
So I do enjoy
Is
turning.
Is it a big one or a small?
No, I've only got a small one. I wouldn't be able to get a big one up here. They're too heavy. This one here, it's a what they call a midi, so it's a mid-size one. You know, it's good for like small bowls, plates. I do a lot of pen turning. I actually got to make a new one for my mom. You know, your seam rippers. I make custom seam rippers and stuff like that. So
here we go, coming back up. Oh, so what I do is I put 2 fingers in here, and I pull. Of course, men probably don't want a pom-pom on the top of their hat.
No matter to me. As long as it keeps warm.
Now, I don't know where my scissors are, but you're about to see something that I use sometimes. You know what those are?
Toenail clippers.
Toenail clippers. So then I cut that yarn, and I just put that back over there. what I'm going to end up doing is I'm going to take these two, I'm holding on to it, and I put my fingers in there and I pull it through. I turn this hat inside out now.
Right.
And I used to pull this tab where I would pull that yarn through, and then I'd have to use a needle, a yarn needle, but
Yep.
I don't do that anymore. I just pull it like this. Most people are like, okay, how does your hats not come apart? I tie that twice, and you see that loop? I'm now going to cut that loop. Leave me alone, fly. What the heck is going on? And then I take that one that was the end, and I tie it twice. And then I'll go over to the second one and tie that twice. I have not had one person call back saying that their hat came apart.
Right.
And there, it's done. And then I turn that over and I keep it kind of away. So there is a little bit of a length. I'm hoping someday to get some things to put. Look at this.
Oh, I'm so looking forward to getting that.
Let's see here. There we go. The fourth one over from the solo and then the one where you make them bigger.
Uh-huh.
The fourth one over puts it where you're on that side and gives me where I'm larger. But
Right.
Take a look at how beautiful this is.
I like it. They come out beautiful.
But because it being a knit, as you can see, it stretches.
Yes.
Unlike crocheting, you have to be near the person to measure their head.
Yes.
On these, they just fit.
Right.
Yes, my hats are always super warm. This one is, of course, 2 4-plies put together and things like that.
Right. Give me 1 second. I'm gonna go grab something so I can show you what I usually wear when it's really bad out.
Okay. Thank you, everyone, for coming. So happy to have new friends, and getting to know you guys a little better. And he's going to be getting this hat shipped to him. And if anybody wants to get a hat from me, go to my About page, and my email is on there. And I will put you on the list to making one of these hats. If you can come up and go live with me, that would be great. But that does not mean you have to. I will still make a hat for you.
You ready for this one?
I am.
This is when it's extremely cold. I cannot wear it if it's above -20 because I sweat.
Oh, wow. Oh, it's one of those.
Yes. And
I've got one that my mom bought at Orscheln's. Yeah. That she ended up buying at Orscheln's that had white rabbit fur on the inside.
yeah, this is actually beaver.
Is beaver.
Yep.
Oh yeah, that would be very. But if there is anybody else in here that wants to have a hat made by me, that is, yeah.
My friend Claire made this, and she put a brim on it, which you don't usually do a trapper hat with a brim. But those things are extremely warm, and like I said, it's got to be below -20 for me to be able to wear it because it's that warm.
Oh my gosh. His face going to be covered? I don't know how to make a mask, but I probably could learn how to make those. I just don't know with it. This is a acrylic yarn. If your breath would cause moistness in this, I don't know what you would end up doing to keep that moisture down.
I'm not sure.
I'm not sure either.
What I'll do is when it gets here, though, I will make sure I take a photo of me wearing it.
Okay.
And that way there you can post it over to the community tab or something.
Yeah. Danielle, because I'm on disability, I don't charge for my hats. If people want to put money into my PayPal, that's okay. I don't ask for them to. If you can, it's okay. It helps me to be able to ship these to people instead of using the meager funds they give me to live on.
Right.
And no, it is not polyester. I use acrylic. Yes, it is a synthetic, but acrylic is a lot softer than polyester is.
Yes.
And I can, let's see. This is one of the tags for some of the yarns that I use. And it does say 100% acrylic. I do have some the yarn that is a polyester. I usually make blankets, lap blankets out of those. But yes, this is his beautiful hat that he will get shipped to him. And I'm going to go somewhere and do this. Now that's not what I need. I need the 3 dots. I'm going to say thank you for all the participants that are here.
Yes.
Right now it says we have Danielle, Granny filming again, and myself in Rushing Wind Mountain. It says I have 13 people in here, but my
Not
participant list.
Yeah, not everybody gets listed on the participant list. I've noticed that in the past.
Yeah.
I've been on a couple lives where I'm moderator, and I've seen it's 100 people in there, and
I know that Madwood's here. I wanted to thank everyone. Yep. Madwood Barbecue.
There's Mike.
If you want to get together with me, we will. I know I seen in StreamYard that they have a thing where you can. No, I would think that cotton. I usually do cotton for making pot holders, dishcloths. Now there is some people that might want to do, a alpaca with a acrylic blend. That I could also do those if you want something like that.
Yep.
I do have some other yarn that is an acrylic cotton blend that I can also make hats out of. And Karen Evans, thank you for being here. I'm just, I'm guessing it has to do with when you go to the participants that it's the people that have chatted the most.
Yes, that's generally what it is.
But and yes, it is. It is an acrylic. The yarns that I use for the hats. So it it's gonna probably get some of the moisture out of there. I made a hat, the first hat that I made with that longer pattern that Peaceful Des was able to find a pattern for that where I learned to decrease, where you do. Thank you, Ruby. Thank you so much. And making these hats for people that I do make. Now, as you see, my yarn back there in the container, I have also yarn that is much thicker. It's a 6-ply yarn that I have made blankets and hats out of that have gone north. That even those people say when they've gone outside that their heads are really hot still.
Yes. Danielle,
because it's a heavier yarn.
Yep. Danielle, that you are correct. That's what they say up here too. Cotton is no good for certain things up here because it will, if you get wet, it doesn't dry and it will kill you.
Cotton's not good. Cotton's not good for everything. No. Now there is merino wools. You can do wool on your feet that it will wick away the water.
Yes.
I do have some wool yarn that there's a lot of people that it itches. So doing I could end up doing, if I sent my wool yarn to someone else so that they can make something out of it, because I'm not going to use wool on a hat because that is going to be really hot. They've got to be so careful in how they wash it. You've probably got to put it on a one of those stretchers to put your hat on to dry.
Mm-hmm.
You know, yes, and there are people that are allergic to wool.
Yes.
You know, so they can't wear wool. You know, it's all those little things that you've got to think about.
Right.
My camera's blinking because it's plugged into the back of the computer, and my cat likes to get back there. So I may be changing that, you know, from where it is to another location.
Mm-hmm.
But thank you, all of you, for coming in.
Yes, it's great.
You know, so you've got to be careful when you're sending out these hats of who they're going to. If you're going to do a wool one, you've got to make sure that that person can wear wool.
Yep.
You know, and yes, I would love to make a wool hat, but I can't have wool either. It's, you know, the alpaca. I have some yarn that is alpaca and acrylic put together that I'm going to make me a infinity scarf out of.
Ooh.
You know, it's one of those ones that you sew together.
Yes.
And making one of those to, you know, where I could put on my head and wrap it around, you know, and doing it that way.
Right.
You know, I'm trying to figure out how I can do this because I've got a cute little hat back here. Who would like to have this? Who would like to have this? You know, let's pick a. Why don't we pick a number, Rob?
Okay. All right.
And let's go to. I'm going to go to private chat.
Okay, give me a second to get there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, you pick a number, and let the people put the number in the chat.
Yeah.
Okay. When I type go, then you start guessing the number, and we're going to keep an eye out. And here we go. Come on, get out of the way. There we go. Start putting the numbers in.
Not yet.
Nope. Let me.
Nope.
Back over here.
Nope.
Nope. Ooh.
Nope. Close.
Close. Yes. Oh, we need to. What? How many people's in here? 12. It's between 1 and 30.
Yeah, we'll give you that.
We'll give you that.
My live starts in roughly 2 hours and 45 minutes. To those interested, it's at 4 o'clock Alaskan Standard Time. Close.
Close. They're getting close.
Yeah.
Danielle, you got it.
All right, there you go, Danielle.
Danielle, you got it.
You got a hat.
You got a hat. Please email me your address. I'm going to get my brand thing here. Let's see here. There it is. My email is there. And send me your address. I do not share anybody's address with anyone. Congratulations, Danielle.
And I'll email you again later with my address again.
Yes. But you can put in the private chat and it will leave.
Yeah, no, I'll just send it to you an email.
Yeah.
You have it.
Yeah.
All right.
Good work. Yeah, email me at that email address. And I will send your hat. Are you overseas? Is Danielle?
Canada.
That's good. Because if it was in the UK or something like that, I'm like, I was going to send a hat to someone that was in Canada, and I went to the
post office
to find out how much it was. And there's someone that is in in the United States that I'm shipping it to him, and then he's going to ship it to that person, you know, to help me out. And he didn't realize that he was going to get a hat also. So his hat is also in there.
Danielle, I don't think the price would be that much different.
Yeah, that's fine if you want to do that. I do have my PayPal up on my channel.
No, it's like I just recently got one of our subs is called Onto It Aussie. She's last from Australia, and she sent us some Vegemite.
Oh,
which they spread, and it's not for everybody, but we did a short on it last week or so. They came out. It was pretty funny. I've got a couple more little videos like that coming out. I got to do more cooking videos. People want more cooking videos.
Now, as you can see, this hat is a little bit thinner. This is 2 4-plies put together, but it's a little bit, or no, it's a 3-ply. I'm sorry. It's a 3-ply. So it is not, unless you've got long hair, this still may be warm enough. Because his hat is a lot thicker. I've never had Vegemite, but from what I'm understanding is you put a thin, very thin layer.
Yes, a very thin layer, but it smells like bouillon, almost with a touch of molasses in it.
Okay, that's fine. I've shipped my door is beaming that light in here. I have I'm just going to move up closer.
That's why I put that board up on that window there, because I knew it was going to get
annoying. Well, mine is coming through this curtain that's right beside me.
Right.
But thank you so much, everyone, for coming.
And thank you for everybody that
Karen, just email me. I'll put that email back up. There it is. If you can read that scrolling. I forgot that I had one that scrolls. Email me and I'll talk to you. You know, and I made Ashley at CNC Farm. She asked me if I would make some things for her mother and sister-in-law, which I have gotten the pot holders and dishcloths done. And they're also going to get surprised. They're also going to get surprised with a dish towel that I'm making out of the rest of that yarn. So I do know how to, you know, naming my crocheting is just back and forth.
Right. I rush.
You know, and but yeah, I'm making a dishcloth or drying towels for them also with that yarn.
Right.
You know. Yeah. So yeah, my email's on there. It's got that scrolling so everybody can email me. And what I do is whatever is the latest that's what I'm working on. And in fact, I have 2 more of these hats back in my bedroom, you know, but we'll talk to you all later, and thank you for coming.
Thank you again, guys. And thank you, Rebecca.
Yeah. You're welcome. We'll say goodbye. Yeah. There we go. Bye, everyone.